Turn the page, stop the page, Karen. What kind of animal is that?
Oh, a horse?
What kind of noise did it make, Debbie?
Nay.
Famous story with a horse in a car.
Black Stein.
Famous story with a horse in it, Kelly.
Black Beauty.
Melissa, famous story with a horse in it.
They did both.
They took both my answers. Karen, famous story with a horse in it. Kim, famous story with a horse in it. Come on.
Black Beauty.
Famous story with a horse in it. Merritt.
Black Beauty.
What kind of animals down below, bottom of the page, Kelly?
A camel.
Okay, just keep the books right where they are. Let's talk for a second. What about the pace of the class? Too what? Too what? Too fast. Okay, now this is important to understand as a mainstream teacher particularly. Learning disabled kids have a difficult time processing the language. As a result of that, if I ask a group, a mainstream classroom, 4th grade class with some learning disabled children and some non-disabled children, and I say, would you please tell me who was the first president of the United States? The non-LD children are processing an answer. The learning disabled children have to process what? The question. So in effect, they have twice the processing load to do than the other students in the class. So even if the class is moving at a normal rate, to the LD child, it seems to be moving at this breakneck speed as we've been talking here. So you say, who was the first president of the United States? The non-LD kids are processing an answer. The LD kids have to process the question. They actually have to go, okay, let's see, who, it means it's going to be a person. Was means he's probably dead. First, the one at the beginning. President is probably the one in Washington of the United States. President of the United States, okay, who's the first president of the United States? Oh, I know that. And he raises his hand. Everybody else has gone to recess. Because he had twice the processing load to do. Lee is my non-LD child. Stephanie is my LD child. And I say, Lee, could you please tell us the name of the book we're reading today? And she says, Huckleberry Finn. And I say, Stephanie, could you please tell us who wrote that book? And she says what? Huckleberry Finn. How many times has that happened to you in the classroom? Why? Because what happens is Stephanie is so busy processing the first question that she misses the fact that Lee responded to it, misses the fact that I asked the second question, and responds to the last question that she processed. But of course, what happens in a typical classroom? What's the name of the book we're reading, Lee? Huckleberry Finn. Good. And Stephanie, who wrote it? And she says Huckleberry Finn. The whole class laughs, and we say, Stephanie, leave the room. You've disrupted my class for the last time. Now, that teacher would not punish Stephanie for being unable to read or unable to do math because she understands a learning disability. And yet the child will be punished for having a processing difficulty, and all of those problems are caused by the same thing, which is this inability to process language. So as a teacher, what do you do about that? There are some techniques you can use. Let me show you one very quickly. Stephanie's the LD child in the classroom. What I do is I take Stephanie aside sometime when no one else is around. Just Stephanie and myself. And I sit down and I say, Stephanie, you're having trouble with my lectures, aren't you? Yes, I am, Mr. Lavoie. You talk so fast. Well, as a matter of fact, Stephanie, I don't talk too fast, but it seems that way to you. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a little deal. Because I'm sure not only is it difficult for you to process, but you're also nervous that I'm going to call on you. Yeah, I'm so nervous you're going to call on me that I lose track of what you're saying and it makes it worse. Here's the deal we're going to make, Stephanie. I will never call on you unless I'm standing in front of your seat. So while I'm over here lecturing, you take all of your energy and you put it into concentrating on the lecture and understanding and processing the lecture, and don't worry, I won't call on you. So the next day I come into class and I'm standing over here and we're talking about the War of 1812 and I'm throwing questions at Maria and at Kit and at Jody and at Kara, and then I look over at Stephanie and I kind of move over in front of her desk and I say, and Stephanie, maybe you could tell us who the president was during the War of 1812. And she answers the question, I say thank you and move away. No one else knows that that went on. And of course what I do is I ask her questions I know she can answer, and eventually I'll be over here lecturing and you begin to see her hand goes up because now she understands that she can survive this experience called volunteering in school. The most common misconceptions about learning disabled children is this. He's very distractible. He has no attention span at all. Using the terms distractible and attention span interchangeably, when actually those are two completely different children. You see, the child with no attention span pays attention to nothing. The child who's distractible pays attention to everything. The learning disabled child is distractible. In other words, he can't focus anything out. So he might be sitting there listening to me talk, and he's interested in what I'm saying, but he's equally interested in my shoes, in my watch, in the fact that his shoes are too tight, in the picture of the Indian behind me. He can't focus anything out. Everything gets his attention. And the same thing happens with oral language. They can't focus that kind of thing out because of the processing deficit. Imagine going to school every day where things seem to be going as fast as we've been going now. No wonder they come up with those strange stomach aches before they go to school in the morning.